Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we take complex subjects and really try to unearth their core truths. Today we're digging into the enduring magic of J.R.R. Tolkien's foundational fantasy novel, The Hobbit. We're looking at it through the lens of a pretty comprehensive review, one that really reveals its deeper mechanisms and why it still resonates so much. Our mission, like always, is to pull out those crucial nuggets of insight, helping you quickly grasp the essence, the impact, and the lasting appeal of this literary landmark. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, and this one's it's a really great one to dive into because The Hobbit, well, it came out in 1937, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just, a beloved standalone story. As our source material really highlights, it acts as this crucial, almost accidental prelude to Tolkien's much bigger work, The Lord of the Rings. It subtly lays down some philosophical and narrative groundwork that, well, it blossomed decades later.
That's a crucial point, yeah. It's something I think I often overlook thinking of The Hobbit just on its own. And our review, it jumps right in by highlighting Bilbo Baggins, not as just some protagonist, but as Tolkien's deliberate flip of the usual epic hero idea. Instead of a warrior, we get this, well, profoundly ordinary hobbit, happy in his quiet life in the Shire.
Mm-hmm.
What did the review really emphasize about that choice, and how does it, affect how we connect with the story?
Oh, it's quite brilliant, really. The review underscores the Bilbo's initial reluctance. That's key. He's not keen at all.
Right.
His journey isn't just about having an adventure. The analysis calls it a pedagogical path.
Mm-hmm.
It's about learning every single encounter. The riddle game with Gollum, those harrowing escapes from goblins and giant spiders,
Wow.
right up to that terrifying face-to-face with Smaug. It's less about just action for action's sake. It's more about consistently testing and revealing Bilbo's hidden cleverness, his resilience, his courage. He gradually changes, not into some brute warrior, but into a different kind of leader, someone who values, wisdom over strength.
So the transformation isn't about getting physically stronger. It's more about finding this inner strength, almost a quiet kind of heroism. That's where it gets really interesting for me. And the review points out that pivotal moment, doesn't it? When Bilbo just stumbles upon that seemingly ordinary magic ring.
Yeah.
This tiny discovery, as our source emphasizes, has these huge implications, subtly setting the stage for everything that happens in The Lord of the Rings. Does the review offer any maybe surprising insights into how early Tolkien really thought about the ring's power, or was it something that just sort of evolved?
Well, the reviews suggest it was more of an organic evolution, which is a fascinating bit of literary history itself.
Yeah.
Initially, it seems it was just a simple plot device, for the riddles and the invisibility.
Right, just to get him out of a tight spot.
Exactly. But it's real corrupting power that seems to have grown in Tolkien's mind as he developed the bigger world, the legendarium. The analysis points out that even in The Hobbit, you get these subtle hints of its negative influence, mainly in Gollum's desperate attachment to it. That really foreshadows its later significance. What's fascinating here is how this seemingly small object becomes the center point, the nexus for this much grander, much darker story that Tolkien hadn't fully mapped out when The Hobbit first came out.
It's those kinds of foundational moments, those evolving ideas that make the story so incredibly rich. And that richness, it definitely extends into the timeless themes woven all through the novel. Beyond Bilbo's personal growth, his courage, the review really highlights that stark contrast between greed and generosity. You have Thorin's growing obsession with the gold in the Lonely Mountain. The review calls it his dragon sickness.
The dragon sickness.
Which ultimately becomes his tragic downfall. And that stands in such sharp contrast to Bilbo, who's eventually willing to give up treasure for peace, for principle.
And this raises an important question, one articulated in our source material. What's the timeless relevance of these values? Is material wealth worth sacrificing unity and peace? The analysis looks at Thorin's dragon sickness, not just as simple greed, but more symbolically, as representing the corrupting influence of, say, unchecked legacy, or maybe even a warning against a kind of nationalistic fervor when it overshadows the community's well-being.
That's a deeper layer, isn't it? Often missed if you just read it casually.
Definitely. And the novel also strongly emphasizes, adventure and discovery. It celebrates stepping outside your comfort zone, embracing the unknown, and delightfully, it really champions the power of wit over brute strength, usually through Bilbo's cleverness.
That's such a refreshing take on heroism, right? And it's exactly that refreshing quality that makes the characters so compelling. The review actually, it digs into how Tolkien masterfully crafts each figure to embody different parts of this evolving idea of a hero.
Hmm.
Bilbo, naturally, is the heart of the group. He's intelligent, compassionate, unexpectedly brave.
Hmm.
Gandalf is this wise, mysterious catalyst figure, subtly guiding things without ever really showing his full hand.
Right, the orchestrator.
Exactly. Thorin, like we said, he's the proud but ultimately tragic leader, consumed by that ambition, that sickness. And Smaug, even though he's not on the page for that long, relatively speaking,
No, no, really.
he's cunning, arrogant, and leaves this truly memorable impact as the antagonist.
And pulling all these threads together is Tolkien's really distinctive writing style. Our source notes that in The Hobbit, his tone is noticeably lighter, maybe more whimsical, compared to the epic feel of The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
He
definitely.
even often talks directly to the reader, which gives it that lovely feel of a bedtime story, sort of inviting you right into the adventure.
It does feel very intimate that way.
And the prose itself is just incredibly rich. Vivid descriptions, these charming songs, clever riddles, they all help create a world that feels ancient, but somehow deeply alive. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the review rightly points out the story's strengths.
Hmm.
It's engaging, it moves quickly, it skillfully blends humor with real danger. You've got memorable characters, settings that just stick in your mind, and these timeless moral lessons that resonate with, well, readers of all ages.
It truly does resonate. Now, while the review paints this largely glowing picture of the Hobbit's strengths, it's also pretty honest about a few minor things where it might, show its age a bit, or maybe feel brief for modern readers.
Right, like what?
Well, for instance, some sections might feel a bit slower if you're used to nonstop action movies or something.
Okay, yeah, pacing.
And maybe Thorin's arc, his downfall, resolves a little quickly after such a buildup.
Mm-hmm. Could be seen that way.
But the analysis is clear that these don't really detract significantly from the overall immersive experience, and that brings us to its huge impact and legacy. The Hobbit is, well, undeniably a cornerstone of modern fantasy literature.
Absolutely fundamental.
Its themes, its world building, which was groundbreaking, its unforgettable characters, they've influenced countless writers, countless adaptations, Peter Jackson's films, obviously.
Huge impact there.
It's remarkably versatile, too, works perfectly as a standalone adventure, but it's also the perfect gateway into Tolkien's larger, sprawling world. So what does this all mean for us as readers, then? Well, to sum it up, The Hobbit is just a charming, thrilling, and deeply satisfying story about unexpected heroism. Our comprehensive review rates it very highly, confirms it as a definite must-read for fantasy lovers, or really anyone looking to dive into Tolkien's incredible worlds.
Yeah, it ultimately reinforces the profound resilience you can find in the ordinary hero. It shows how Tolkien masterfully took someone unassuming and imbued them with immense potential. He really reshaped the archetype of the hero, showing that true impact, it often comes from unexpected places.
So thinking about Bilbo's journey, his transformation from this timid, stay-at-home hobbit into a clever, resourceful hero, here's a thought for you listening. What personal comfort zone might you step outside of? And what surprising qualities or maybe insights might you discover about yourself in the process, even if they aren't, dragon's gold? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring the vast landscapes of knowledge.